All right. So now, but this time you reach this video, you probably had already created a lot of content. And so I wanted to take a moment to show you how the tool LeiaPix works, to kind of like giving you the capability to take some of these still images and starting to bring them to life, especially when you're trying to share your content on social. One of the reasons I believe my reels got viral and so much attention, it was of course because of like the creative direction and the quality of the assets, but also because I was able to use a tool like LeiaPix to really elevate, create some like motion and effect, and then stitching all this content together to produce like short video of like 8 seconds, 10 seconds that got a lot of traction on social media. And I will show you multiple tools, including Runway and Crea for the video. But the thing that I really like with LeiaPix is a very simple tool to use. You can use it actually for stuff that are not AI generated as well. And it really helps to kind of like moving away from just like a basic still images and really elevate the content. Plus, they're also working on a lot of great capability to constantly improve their model. And with the release of Apple Vision Pro and all these other device, having the capability to just take a still image and creating some depth, it's extremely valuable. So I'm going to take some of the content we generated early today, just to show you the basic of like how LeiaPix is working. We're going to start with like the Nike rover. Basically, you drag and drop your image. They monetize with like some of like the advertising here, so they recommend you don't use ad blocker. And it works similar with a credit system, but it's very cheap. So you can actually request some like free credits. They always support me by giving you more credit so I can create more content. But then pretty much when you drag and drop your image, it will automatically use like the perspective feature and just like starting to like make your content move a little bit. And then here you have like the different animation style. So there is a couple that I really like, but just to like show you the diversity, you have like vertical mode. As you can see, depending of like what is the content, like the effect will work better. So in this case, vertical is a little bit weird because it looks like the floor is like pretty much bouncing. Here you have two toggles that you can remove. I usually don't use, like the loop, because if you do the loop, you do this like weird effect. The goal here is to creating like very short clips of your content, like 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds, because then after that, when you're going to create your video, you're probably going to use like no more than like a second or a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds when you're doing it. And as you can see here, vertical is very straightforward. You have this like effect of like the camera is going up. There is a horizontal effect. There is some little details that, for example, you toggle on the loop all the time. You can like change it. In this case, as you can tell, it's working very well because you have the rock formation at the forefront. Then you have the floor, then you have the car. And the things here is like, I'm going to show you the manual settings after. But basically, no matter what, when you select like a preset, you can go in amount of motion. So like this will tell you, like how much motion you want to put. And so the more motion, the higher risk you have like something weird happening in your image. But in this case, as you can see, it's working like pretty well. So it's like doing these things. Outside of the loop, we can do like the movement in the other way around. So like reverse, that can be really cool. It looks like, like almost like if the camera is moving on the other way around and like reveal the truck. And so you have the amount of motion, and then you have the animation length as well. That can be interesting to play around with. Obviously, if you increase the length of the animation, then the effect will become very, very slow. So like you want to like play around with it. Usually I rarely go above like 8 seconds because you want this effect to be visible within like a short video. But like 6 seconds is pretty cool. And then the motion between 40 and 60%. If you have an image with like a lot going on, a lot of details, and you can see some deformation, you want to be able to like reduce. Sometimes I go as low as 20%, but it's really you're playing with these different features and you get what you want. And these are like, I'm not changing them usually, but here is interesting because you can see the depth map. So you can use it and you can rework it and fix it if there is like stuff that you want like more to highlight or like putting at the forefront. So like for example, like here's like the big wheels. And so as you can see, when you do that, you know, it just like now you have like this like additional effect that is happening on the wheels. So the amount of motion here is like maybe a little bit too much for this effect. But like as you can see here, is interesting. It's really depending of your content, what you're trying to achieve. But as you can see, it's super straightforward to kind of like fixing what is at the forefront, what is more in the back. Edge deletation, just like show you like more transformation. I usually don't play around too much with that. And then you have the settings of focus point in your video. So that's pretty much it for this. What I do is if you're working on like a 9:16 for Instagram, or if you're working on like a 4:5 or like a full HD video, I will work on like the final outcomes that I want, because they have a very good compressing feature. So like when you export in 4K, sorry, it will like respect, it will keep like super high resolution, and we work very well, especially on Instagram. And just to show you like the difference here, so you have like the circle motion if you want. Then you have like the zoom. Same thing, you don't need to do this. So like here there is like interesting stuff. So you need to like play around. Like the zoom back is really cool. I'm using it a lot in my own video. This one I rarely use. But you're not, you don't have to do exactly the way I'm doing it. Like there is like different features. The goal is you find your own style and what you like. You know, there's like the one that go on the side, on the right. I rarely use this just because like the deformation will be too much. And then I like the zoom center. So zoom center is like not only is like going in the front, but it also going up a little bit. And so if you go here in the settings, you can also like change a different variable. So you have like the different point of position, so X, Y, Z. And then let's say if you like want to like reduce like where it's like standing in the end, like you can do some like interesting adjustment just to like if you don't want some like crazy movement. So you have all these features. They are more advanced. To be honest, when I'm working on my video and I want to like produce things fairly fast, I'm not gonna mess too much with all the different things. You can play around with it because it's always interesting to at least understand how it works. But the goal is really to being able to like elevate your content and then putting together. So that was a quick introduction around LeiaPix. I'm gonna show you in a video how I basically fix like 6 to 7 like assets. I'm working on a new reel that I'm gonna post in a couple of days, and I'm gonna show you how I do that from like upscaling, fixing some of the details, and then putting it into LeiaPix to create my final video.